Madam Chair, we are live.
Thank you, Mrs. DeGraw. Go ahead and call our meeting to order. Thank all of you for coming. And I would like to thank student Boone Burtenshaw for volunteering to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, the floor will be open for a motion to approve the agenda.
Madam Chair, so moved.
Is there a second? Second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. The floor will be open for a motion to approve the minutes from our previous meeting.
Madam Chair, I so move.
Is there a second? Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. We are going to do one little change on the agenda here. We're going to move our student council up and just swap places with our superintendent's report. So I'll turn the time over to Mrs. Dallin.
Okay, so they have a slideshow prepared. They'd like to share with you. Mr. Joyce, do you have it?
Got the tab, command tab.
We will have Mr. Tate Simmons will begin for you. All of them have a little section we're going to share and I'll talk to you at the end.
All right, first, Mrs. DeGraw, so is this the leading?
No, this should be the.
No, it's the one at the top. The leadership activities.
Okay, perfect, and present. Got it. I can do this. Next slide.
Hi, I'm Tate Simmons. I'm the junior class president.
Yeah, go ahead and move that mic so we kind of have it small on there. Chase, do you want to help him, like, just maybe raise that up in the bottom, or? We forgot that you guys are a lot taller than the elementary kids that come in, and there you go. Thank you, Tate.
All right, one of the first projects that we worked on in the start of this third quarter was heart attacking the entire school. Ms. Dallin brought up the idea of writing notes on hearts for a group of staff or employees. We went one step further and we decided to write and hang up hearts for every student in the school. We cut out about 1 million hearts and wrote so many notes. It was awesome to see the students start looking for their heart. We put them on the lockers or just hung them on the wall if they didn't have a locker. It took about a week, but we finished before Valentine's Day and decided to include the teachers. We had a list and made sure that each teacher had at least 3 hearts.
I'm Paisley Summers. I'm sophomore class president. Around the same time, we started planning the Sweethearts Dance. Sophomores were in charge of this dance and I was committee chairman. We discussed how we wanted to decorate and set up and used our resources. Thanks, Mom and Grammy Monica. To create something wonderful, Miss Scott let us use her chocolate fountain. We had tickets and drawings for a few fun prizes. It was one of the prettiest dances we had and there was a really fun turnout. It got us excited about dances coming up through the rest of the year.
My name is Maggie Tuckett. I'm on the freshman class council. We had wrestlers qualify for state, so we put together a pep rally. Students and teachers lined the halls for the traditional state send-off. We changed it a little bit though, and started at the office and ended in the auditorium, with the entire student body coming behind the wrestlers. When we got in there, the wrestlers led us in a school cheer, and Tate and Boone gave a brief motivational speech. We made a hype video, and everyone was excited to see it on the big auditorium screen. We ended the assembly with a school song. It was a big success and we are excited to continue planning and celebrating our student athletes.
I'm Sierra Adams and I'm a freshman. Last month we went to a student council district leadership conference at Thunder Ridge. We took 12 students and spent the day gathering with students from Pocatello to Madison. There were keynote speakers and mock-up assemblies where we learned some new games and activities. There were overall 300 students there, and Tate Simmons was the overall rock, paper, scissors champion. There were also breakout sessions, and we learned some different ideas that we were excited to bring back.
My name is Chase Van Epps, and I'm sophomore class vice president. And our next big project was our Sadie Hawkins Barbie theme dinner and dance. We wanted to have a fun night to get more students involved, so we presented a new idea. Most dances the last few years are expensive and had long day dates, so we decided to have everyone meet for a meal and then plan 30 minutes of dance instruction at the beginning part of the dance. There was a lot of skepticism, but we persevered. We helped girls start asking the boys. We wrote notes, sent paper airplanes, and just asked in person. It was different, but there was a lot less pressure and it was really fun. The dress theme was pink and Barbie. It turned out amazing. We had pizza and parent volunteers brought ice cream and Sunday toppings. The dancing was really fun, and we learned a few different basic swing dancing moves and had a lot of time to practice. Kids started to sing karaoke and dance the whole night.
I'm Beer Birdshaw, the junior class vice president. This quarter, we have been working on some branding for the district. We have talked about why branding is important and how we can elevate and create cohesive spaces. We made lists and drew ideas in class. We aren't finished with this project yet, but Mr. Williams asked us to present that we have come up with so far. After we had ideas, direction we wanted to go, we emailed Haley Dixon from Design Daily Studio, and she helped us digitize and started creating some mock-ups. We want to have signs on the different gyms and on the ALC. One example of why this is an important project is because changing the name from ALC to district office building would be so much easier if there were signs to remind people what we call it. Here are some of the designs that we came up with. We think it's important to use navy and Columbia blue on the logo. We would like to have a large panther logo and a smaller panther head that are the same look to tie things together, but give more options. This next slide are the ones that we are liking the most. We want to change the blue panther head to one of the black ones, but use the same color scheme. We really like this font, and this looks classic and contemporary at the same time. Next, we talked to the ag teachers about possibly working together to create signs that could incorporate metal and wood. It would be a cool way to involve the students from elementary, or have more students involved. Elementary and junior high rough drafts would include the words junior high. One of the ideas we like would include a sign where the letters were cut out in the middle, and it would be black lit with blue lights. We love this Panther Den design.
Ooh.
Might want a different logo on the top section, but love this idea. Here are a few more ideas. Our goal is to have a final presentation for the board in April.
That looked fun.
And we
Yeah, well, we're not gonna interrupt,
isn't that cool?
that's a good idea. Yeah, all right. You're on.
I'm Mac Hall. I'm on the sophomore council. We're entering anti-vaping video contest through Idaho Public Television, and we created a script and finished editing it this week. There's some awesome cash prizes, and if you don't win, we're still planning to share it with the student body. Our classes really wanted to share it with you guys today.
Okay, so go ahead and have out.
I did tab out, but it's not showing up on the video here. So Mrs. DeGraw, if you wouldn't mind coming and being the tech support, calling in the tech support.
Can you tell who the star of the anti-vaping video is?
Can't tell, but are those Barbie shoes? Is that? Yeah, they are.
Oh, that's why.
You want to share it off of that?
No, we got it right here.
Oh, look at this. That's why we got Mrs. DeGraw.
She needs the big one.
Okay. Look at all these stars. We ready for it? Okay, I've got to do volume on this.
We got to the TV. Sorry.
Notice board says 2 + 2. Beginning.
What is 2 + 2?
Yeah, what is?
That's gonna be really loud, Carrie. That's.
I know.
Sorry. That's gonna blast us.
Is
there a second? Those in favor?
Oh,
Any opposed?
Playing our.
Motion passes. Of course, we open for a motion to approve the minutes from our previous meeting.
is that my voice?
Love it.
Sorry.
You can also email it to.
Well, we have it.
We have to get a couple of these things
You have a maze to get.
right about there. Try it.
Right there.
Okay. And not yet. Oh, boy.
It's not a real bait.
It's a highlight.
Yeah, don't worry, we just needed to point that out.
Shane, why don't you stop sharing?
Okay.
And I'll try and share it from my side.
Yeah, if you can share it from your side, that'd be great. We'll get this figured out, you guys, because I want these guys to see it. And is it really a highlighter? Because we know that there are highlighter vapes.
It is really a highlight.
Okay.
Yes, so that one topic.
I'm on a teacher's desk, so you probably talk with her.
Found on a teacher's desk. I don't mind thinking about this.
Do you want them to, oh, I guess we'll do, we have a work sound. Do you want to explain the video kind of?
So this was, I'll let you guys explain. So I know that East Idaho Public Health reaches out with us with the Catch Your Breath program.
So this was actually,
Is this a different one?
this is different. This is Idaho Public Television.
Okay.
Mrs. Scott messaged me because we've been doing a lot of TikToks and videos and reels and different things on social media.
Uh-huh.
And she said, these kids are so creative. It's a contest that there's, I think, 15 different cash prizes from $2,000 to $150. And as of a week ago, they only had 3 entries in the whole entire state.
Oh, yeah.
So she said, submit something. So we did it this week because she asked to do it this week. I might have sent it to you, Rob.
Might not.
I might just have to email it to all of you. I have it on my iPad.
Let me try and open it.
Yeah, because we want to show this. This is.
It is pretty, it's
What?
it's pretty funny. It's good. It's definitely one that teenagers and kids, and they wanted it to be something that their peers would want to watch and find important, like find something that matters. All right.
It's really wanting you to buy an extension there, doesn't it?
And they just finished today during 4th hour, so I was just gonna send you guys, like, show you a little clip, but they really wanted to show you guys a whole video, so I sent it to Carrie way too late, I'm sorry.
We're able to get the video from my side though, Carrie. We're just
I
not,
know.
we're just not getting the sound. So you want to keep experimenting this way?
Let's go back to yours.
Okay, share screen. So we're gonna share this screen. Oh, you gotta let me back in over there.
Okay.
And I wonder if I unmute there. Mute there.
You're muted here, that's why.
I've been up there. Oh, it's on the wrong one. Okay, let's try this again. You wanna go back on that one?
Yes.
You might have a loop. Maybe. You know,
Right now.
share video,
Yes.
share. Okay. I need to turn my Zoom.
Is it coming through your
It
computer?
is coming to my computer.
Okay, so we need to go to your computer settings
Mhm.
and click which sound we want it to come through.
Sound preferences.
Yes. Or we can just put the microphone down there. No.
Oh, I'm not.
Go ahead and just play it and the microphone up.
You go. All right. I think it's still. I need to.
It's looping your sound now.
I know.
Let me try.
Okay, I am muted. All right, command there. Let's try this again. I predict that Mac has to go to the bathroom here in a second, is what I.
Let me try this problem on your paper.
Can I go bathroom?
Sure.
Maybe minutes later. Oh, goodness.
Wow, I have no idea what's happening. Yo, Mac, let's go. Guys, hold on, I gotta go grab something. Where is it?
Yeah, find it.
There it is.
Oh no, they left me. Eddie, you sitting right next to me.
This guy's slow, I'm gonna smoke him. This stuff makes me slow.
Nicely done. That was worth the technical difficulties right there. Totally worth the technical difficulties. Thank you. Okay. All right, let's get back to the slideshow. And present. And there we go. Anti-vaping video. One more. Okay.
Okay, finally we want to end this project that we loved with the Friendship Club. Once a week, we go to the elementary and teach a sort of lesson and model good friendship skills. This month, we taught both first grade classes. April, we'll be going out and teaching second grade. We will go out during their recess time and play basketball, tag, and today we played red light, green light. The kids all come and play. It's pretty awesome. Then we go in with the kids to their classroom and we create slideshows or posters to teach them lessons. We've taught about kindness and not leaving people out and being a good friend. It's been the best. This quarter, this quarter of leadership has been filled with a lot of awesome things, but it's really
felt successful and
I like to turn the time over to our leader.
All right, so.
wait,
You would turn your volume.
it's off now. Yes, okay.
All right, as you can see, we've had a lot of fun activities. I have had some fun ideas that I've shared them, but they have also come with so much willingness to try new things, experiment, involve more people, and I think that's something that you've seen through this slideshow. I think the Friendship Club, at the end of the quarter, I do a exit interview and they have to write a paper and they have to explain what their favorite part of this quarter of leadership was. Overwhelmingly, Friendship Club was everybody's favorite. I have a niece that's in first grade. I have a really good friend, Mrs. Williams teaches first grade, and I'd heard about some first graders that maybe weren't getting along the best. And I was talking to the kids in class and I said, they are leaving people out. There's some friendship stuff that we need to work on. And they jumped in and I said, what do you think are the 4 most important lessons we could teach them? And they came up with, on their own, with kindness, inclusion. They had an acronym for friends. They came up with that themselves. And as we went over, they each had a buddy that they would play with. They included other people. Tate tried to dunk on the 3rd graders. It was kind of a highlight of, he did, Tate dunked on 3rd graders. And then today they played tag and other games. And it was really, we went just for the last, it was about 20 minutes of the class on Thursdays or Wednesdays. And we would play with them first, and then we'd go inside and they'd sit on the kivas in Mrs. Williams' room and we did a lesson. We're gonna do 2nd grade next, and then we're gonna do 3rd grade for a couple weeks in May. And I think that has been the highlight of this quarter. Anyway, if you have any questions, I know I do need to tell you about parking, update on parking situation, because I'm sure that'll be a question. I think we've gotten all the passes out to students that have bought them. We still have maybe one that hasn't bought one that's parking up front. We've been focused on other things, trying to bring joy and love and light, and hopefully they'll do it the right thing. But right now it feels okay. And it feels like it's calmed down. We've had a lot of really successful things. If you guys have any questions for any of the students, any activities that's specific, that they are more than willing to answer any questions, and as am I.
Anybody, I might have some, do you have a question, Edra?
Do you take care of all the dances and all of the activities in the school?
Yes. So each class,
So all
all the classes, so for example, homecoming was a student council dance. Halloween dance was a freshman dance. Sadie's, Sweethearts dance was a sophomore dance. This Barbie theme night was a freshman and sophomore dance because they had so much success the last one. We just let the momentum keep on rolling. Prom is gonna be juniors and seniors this year. Juniors also helped with more, so they take turns through the class.
Yes, and then everybody helps or just
The council,
try to involve the class.
we involve,
Like if it's a junior prom, then you.
we'll involve more. And since we have this class period, we utilize as much time as we can then, but we've invited other students to come and help decorate, to come help bring refreshment. For this last dance, we had other students that weren't in the class that helped, their parents signed up to bring items. So we're trying to include other people, and the class is open to whoever wants to be in it too. They don't have to be an elected student council member, but we've had a lot of participation that way too. But they're the ones that make the final decision. The ones that are in the class will make the decisions about theme and other things.
You go ahead and I'll ask them.
Okay, mine was for Tate. You said you cut out 1 million hearts.
It wasn't quite a million.
Okay, because I'm gonna say, if we had that many students in our school, that would be amazing. No, but thank you, Tate, for sharing that. I just had to tease you a little bit about.
They did have 1 big heart and like 4 little hearts.
Okay, so
It really was
was
hundreds of hearts.
No, and it's really, that was a really cool thing, like to be able to reach out and make sure, like a lot of, I think you guys made sure every single student got one, didn't you? That was awesome.
Walking down the hall, when we first started doing it, there were kids that were taking pictures of the hearts and sending it to their moms, and I had moms message me and say, thank you for doing that, because at the very beginning, they're like, this is gonna take forever, so they did really short ones, and then it turned into longer, and they were all sitting around the table in the library, just writing hearts, and it turned in, we had a box full of magic. It was really cool.
And you wrote good things to every student.
Yes.
They're still up, they're gonna be up until after spring break, so if you'd like to go walk through the hall, we are gonna ask them if they wanna put them in their
They
locker.
were,
too.
that was one thing I was worried about, like, if one of them, like, not saying that the student council director would have been like, oh yeah, send that one off. but there wasn't. I went through, I looked at all of them, they were legit, they would.
And they were personal.
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 I love small schools.
So,
Yeah.
question I have is, do you like being in leadership positions and what?
Does this feel different than the last time you guys came in? You're getting bombarded by, the parking lot.
And
Has
what-
it gotten better for you?
and
That's
what do you like about being a leader? Is it something that you feel good about, or has it been hard for you, or just one of whoever you answer that?
Who would like to answer? I'll answer. Okay, so.
I'll answer after that.
Okay.
I like doing it because like a lot of kids will like complain about the activities and stuff and say that we don't do what they want to do. And so I joined and I was just like, okay, if you're gonna complain, then you gotta show up and help, and kind of just took a stand for the people in it and stuff like that. So that's why I
think
like to
that's
do it.
really good. Thank you.
Thanks.
I don't think you've been vaping,
You better not be.
I like being in charge or helping because it just makes me feel like I did like all that I can, so I don't have to like deal with being like, oh, well, it could have been different. I'm like, no, it could have been different, but I did all that I could, so. Okay, very good.
And the branding project really has been a fun, I'm excited for you guys to go back and look at some of those drawings and kind of in April, kind of present. They even took pictures of inside of buildings, and they would like to have a sign that points towards the auditorium, one that is on the fence that says Panther Den this way. And talking to Mrs. Day, some really cool ideas and mock-ups we're working on for having the metal class, those ag classes help with some metal signs. I think it's gonna be really cool.
Right, what you're doing.
That's awesome. Anything else?
Well, good luck to the baseball players.
You're free to go, unless you want to say.
So I have one
Oh,
more question.
follow question.
On that girls' choice dance, was it, just, you tried to make it so it wasn't an expensive all-day thing? So you didn't have them ask each other, you just invited everybody to come, and then did you meet up or did you have dates? Because it didn't look to me like there were dates there.
So
As
we had
such.
dates, so we did it like, cause usually you do something like really big for like prom and stuff, like big posters and like candy and stuff. So instead we had like all the leadership girls and boys make like paper airplanes and then be like, hey, do you wanna ask so and so to the dance? And then we would like throw them into each other's like classrooms. And then they would just like write back, check yes or no, you know? And then, yeah, notes, and then like we had like balloons and stuff that you could pop and be like, check yes or no. And so it was just like super simple. And then you would like sit across from your date at dinner. So everybody had dates, but you could also come single if you wanted to, so.
Okay, thank you.
One thing that was explained to me, and I hadn't heard this term before, but Mrs. Dowling said, we're trying to get away from the promposal. Is that
Promposals
the
for
promposal?
every dance.
So it's almost like every single dance evolved into, if I don't come up with this elaborate way to ask the person I want to go to, and then if it's not as cool as the other person, and pretty soon we have people jumping out of airplanes, you know, and stuff.
Skywriting.
Trying to like get them to go to the dance, and then they spend all day at the dance. And then they're exhausted and nobody dances. And so I thought this was a great idea. They still want to have like prom, I guess will still be the big fancy one, but I think the kids will have, I would have had more fun to not have that pressure of, oh man,
I agree.
if I don't ask her in a cool enough way, it's not gonna happen. So thank you, student council, for putting that on this.
We're going to try next year only having 2 day date. The day date means that you get out the razors, and not everybody has
Be
access to
careful,
all of those
be
things.
safe on those. Those are the things.
They
Yeah.
go all day, so by the time they come to the dance, they come for the last 10 minutes, they screech in and they don't dance. They don't even talk to each other.
Cause they're so exhausted.
They're so tired and they've spent all day with each other and they are over it. But this date, they came, they ate and they talked and they joked and they played, and it was so fun to see them in outside the school dynamic or even at a ball game. And the parents were more than willing to help supply stuff for that meal. And thank you all the parents that did help that. We wrote them thank you cards and sent them this week, but we really appreciate all that help. But it was fun. When we started doing these asking, I said, well, I don't know what to do. I have to go in town to get a poster. I said, just write a note. And I showed one of the girls how to write a note, how to write check yes or no, fold it, and they passed it in class. And the boy answered yes, handed it back. And I said, you can ask face to face. So Joanna Saldana, our senior class president, turned to Bentley Lansbury and said, Bentley, do you want to go to the dance with me? He said, yeah, for sure. And I said, done. You guys are done. Let's go to the dance and play. So fun. We're trying to bring back fun. Play,
Not so
Tate.
much pressure.
Thank you, Tate. Anyway.
Okay, super. Guys, thanks for coming and presenting.
Yep.
Well done.
Good luck, baseball players.
Thank you.
Don't worry. We're here for the long run.
Appreciate it. Mrs. DeGraw, did we have any public input?
No, ma'am.
Well, the floor would be open for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Madam Chair, I so move.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, and correct, we don't have an action item.
Yes, Madam Chair, we did not have any, and you can see one thing that I did add. We do want to have a purchase spending surplus approvals just on every single board meeting coming up, so that way, if we do have anything that does come up last minute, we'll be able to put that on there, but as of today, we don't have any to present.
Okay, well, then we will skip back to our superintendent.
All right, now I'll get to talk. So, student council did a great job. I really appreciate the work of the students. I can remember being in high school, and some of the biggest things that I learned leadership wise came during my time as student council. I think the student council is doing a great job. I think eventually, if this stuff keeps happening, no one's gonna remember the the golden class of classy 97, you know, they're not. Because these guys are gonna take it in a better direction than we've ever been, so proud of those guys. Cold, it's getting cold. Just some updates from superintendent, Principal Johnson and I, we were able to go to the House and Senate Education. This was on the February 26th. And so here's a couple of pictures that my wife was watching it in her class with her first graders. And you can see that that's Superintendent Critchfield, and also Representative Furness was in on this one there, another one from local, and then Mr. Johnson getting some questions asked to him right here on this one here as well. The questions? Yeah, so the different questions they would ask, specifically, what are the things that we're doing? So, with our elementaries on literacy, the different things. And so they just asked about the different scores. I shared with them, I didn't put on here the presentation, but I can bring that. Should have brought that another time so I can show you guys exactly what I did show. But we did talk about the literacy program. Should I just bring that up, Carrie?
Yes.
I think I could do that. Do you want to unshare me for a second?
Yeah.
Let me just bring that up because I have that on slides.
I think that was a great honor.
It was awesome. Right. I'm gonna figure this out before Carrie gets over here. Nothing, you stay right there.
I'm not moving. I just heard my name.
All right, sharing this. All right. So this is the slideshow that I shared with them. I'm just gonna go through. And so I was invited by Deputy Superintendent Ryan Cantrell. He came to our district in early December. And we went to the elementary school. He was a superintendent previously before he started working for the State Department at a small district like ours. And he loved what he saw. One of the things that jumped out at is this last year, two things. Our elementary IRI scores, our reading scores, are higher than the state average. And also Hamer Elementary had the highest growth from fall to spring in the state. And so he just said, what's going on here? We want to look around and find out the different things that we have. So I highlighted our district, just that give them a little bit of an understanding of what we have in our district. Let's see. We just talked about our process of the science of reading. Basically, that just means that we're using research-based methods in our school district. I talked about our district's journey when I first came in as a superintendent. I talked about the PLC process. I actually didn't use your name, but I talked about having school board members go to the PLC conference with us. And if you remember at that time, we started having those conversations about we come to school every single day and our professional development on Friday is not very good. We're so exhausted, we don't have time to really focus in on that work. And so I asked that second year, is there any way we can take some days that are just professional development? And after the PLC conference and the district teachers working on those things, and it's been a process, and I don't want to, and we're not there because the process is that we're continuing, but I think this is, again, we're moving in a good direction. And I also mentioned to them that also at this time, the state started investing more in early literacy. And so our literacy dollars started to increase and actually doubled over this time. I shared with them our IRI scores from 2021. So this would have been the year after COVID. Yep, that's right. And so these are the kids coming in after COVID. And you guys have seen these before where you start at the trend lines, and if they're going up, it's pretty good. But the other thing that we looked at is the scale scores. And so you can kind of notice right here, 170, 180, those are going up by 10. And so I said, this is where we started. We were lower. I wish I would have, after being there, I wish I could have included a couple other slides. Another slide that I went to my first year was at a special ed meeting. And when I went there, they gave us our scores and they showed that our special ed kids were really not improving. And I went to my previous district where I knew that the reading program that I wanted to have at our school, that I didn't. I looked at their scores and they were just, and I saw that when I was a principal at my previous district. And so that's when I doubled down and we hired Mr. Johnson to come out and start working as a interventionist. The year before he became principal, we bought the 95% program. I just talked about how we focused more on PLCs, professional development, with dyslexia that we purchased with the literacy funds, research-based reading instruction with our 95% program. How we were so strategic, having data meetings, where the teachers get in and they talk about the data. So this is all the science of reading, that you have those things in place and results should happen. And so when I showed them the 23, 24, you look at that and you're thinking, oh, they're still kind of looking the same just from your mind's eye. But I showed them the difference between the 2021 and 4 years later. And you look at the scale score on the left-hand side, 170, they're only going up by 10. You look over here, where are they? Our lowest students are 250. You know, and so what happens with this test is every 3 years they renorm it, because you still have to have a bell curve. You still have to have the ones that are green, the ones that are yellow, and the ones that are red. But what this is showing is that we are making tremendous gains after COVID. You know, when we looked at this was right after COVID. And so our highest kids were coming in about 215. Our lowest kids are at 250. Wow. And so you're seeing that we're making that change because we have a systematic change where we're with our reading intervention programs at our elementary. It's the buy-in from the teachers, it's the buy-in from the administration, and things are working. Some of the questions they asked were like, how is this grade doing now? Because that would be our 4th and 5th graders. And where we don't have an apples to apples comparison, what we can say is, I believe Mr. Johnson said 90% of those kids have completed all of the basic requirements in the 95% program. So at least that's the best we can show, that at least we're trying to fill those holes as they're going. And that's one of the hard parts is, like, COVID did have an impact on the kids' academics. And we can't do everything just to patch it, but we're doing all that we can to patch, but also prepare kids as they go. Another thing that's been interesting when we look at this is the starting and ending scores. Before we got this program, there would be a bigger dip academically during the summertime. And now between the spring test and the fall test, kids aren't falling as much as because of the way that we're teaching these phonics skills. Students are remembering how to do that. So the next steps that we have with this really are like last month, if you remember, when Miss Allred came in and talked about the dyslexia, we're even gonna strengthen that as we're moving forward. This was Hamer Elementary with the highest growth in the state, from spring to fall out of all the schools in the state. I just talked about our success, our culture, that we're moving in the right direction. I did say one thing that continues to help is a predictable and consistent funding. That was fun. I did. I didn't bring up enrollment would have been, that's what it really would have been, and sometimes I still shake my head at that, but I told them specifically with literacy, when our funding increased and it was predictable, we knew that it was coming in. I can make a plan here without like waiting to the last second. And then I told them it allows me as a small district superintendent, I can be an academic leader instead of just a manager. Instead of just worrying about, okay, when's our next money? Are we gonna be able to pay the bills? Are we gonna be able to hire teachers? If we have that taken care of, and I compared that to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like you have that, if we have the bottom part taken care of, it allows us to self-actualize and learn and go. And so it was really fun. And this is my doctored up picture. Sorry, gotta get that out of there. Last one. So that's what I presented. That's what I presented to them when we went. And so it was an honor. It really was. It was a cool thing. This one here is just a copy of the agenda. If people want to go watch it, I know people, if anybody's still on YouTube Live after all of our stuff earlier, but if they want to watch this, you can, all of these are recorded. You can just pull up House Committee Education and you can download it. And so that's one thing. The next big event, when hopefully the legislative session will be closed by April 8th, but Mrs. DeGraw and I are scheduled to go to Idaho Falls to the post-legislative roadshow. That's when the State Department comes and they share, this is the end, these were all the laws were passed, this is how it's going to impact you financially. That's going to help us really start digging into the budget at that time. And so it really was, it was a good thing to go to. Trying to think. Representative Furness, he was actually there because he did talk about some limits. But this, I don't know if it's going to get any traction this session. And I really appreciate him advocating for schools. But he had an interesting idea about bonds and reducing the supermajority on off presidential years and so every other year. So what he was suggesting is if you run a bond during a presidential election or during an even year, which would be same years as the legislative elections, that with 55% you could pass a bond instead of 66 2/3. Because one of the things that has been thrown at schools, they say, oh, you have all these other election dates because you want to try to hide and not do it when everybody shows up, which isn't the truth. We just want to make sure that it doesn't get overshadowed by, because so many times politicians honestly will use schools and say, public schools are horrible, vote for me. That's we're a target for negative press, and sometimes people use that in their political agendas. And so I don't think it's going to take anything now, but it was a great idea of thinking outside the box. And I think he was kind of just testing the waters with it and see where it goes. For you guys, school board stuff, just to keep on your radar, we'll probably talk about this again. There is a leadership institute. This is going to be in Rexburg on June 5th. And so that's something that we could go to. This is one that they usually do charge us for this one, but it is pretty good. We'll have more information on it. Just keep that on your radar. I'll keep going then. Some other exciting things. 8th grade boys were the district champions. This last year, I know I talked about that in our special meeting, but I didn't have it in my superintendent report. February 22nd, the junior high girls went to a women in STEM conference. And so we have some pictures. So Mrs. Bailey Burnshaw, junior high teacher, she sent me some stuff. It looks like Aubrey Rigby and Kelly Smith were showing some electromyography waves when they flex their muscles. And so we just have some fun pictures of some of the kids here. It looks like Riley, your daughter, was there taking some pictures. And so this was one thing that BYU Idaho sent out, that we want to invite the girls over for a Women in STEM Day. My son did say it was the most boring day at school he's ever had in his life. And so I think the teachers loved it when they left him here.
So what class would they have been in to go to that?
So all of them, they took every girl
Oh, they
in
did.
every girl in the junior high and put them on a bus and took them. That's why my son was saying it was a boring day at school, because the girls weren't around.
Poor kid.
And so that was a fun activity. Mr. Guimar and Mrs. Scott put on a WJ FAFSA at night. This was on February 26th. They had different different colleges that were there, and they said they only had 12 students come, but they had others that were completing them at home. So if anybody's out there saying, oh, the school doesn't ever help me get ready for college, and our counselors, our administration, they are bending over backwards to try to help. So if there are parents out there that want any support, contact Mr. Guimar. Like, let him know that we're putting these nights on. I don't think they're willing to come to your house and just do it for you, but you
Short
know,
of that.
short of that, they're doing a lot of things to help out with that. And it also looks like they took the junior class. Anybody? No, we don't have any juniors in here, right? No.
I have two different pictures that day,
Yeah,
two different groups.
two different groups went. So they went to a college day. They had 9 colleges that were there. Then our scholastic team has been competing at different events. We hosted one the other day, and I'm not sure, I think this one's the one at Arco. And so the members of our scholastic team, here's one picture of them. So Jay Babcock, Anthony Schaefer, Bailey Allen, Natalie Wigman, and our scholastic team's advisor is Kara Schulberg. Students from Mrs. Parker's music classes, they attended a concert at BYU Idaho, 2 different concerts actually. And so this was fun for a lot of our students who maybe not have had a chance to go to a professional type concert. And so they were able to go to that. I believe the weather was bad that night. And I was like, I don't know, it's one of those nights where the wind was blowing, everybody's praying for a snow day. It just didn't happen. So, and then last night, Mrs. Scott and all of our CTE teachers and Mr. Guimar, they put on a great activity. I know that you were there, Madam Chair. I mean, it's Destination Success, and they had some discussions about all of the different CTE and advanced opportunity options that we have at our small school. And this is really exciting. We had, I do believe I have all the slides on here. I don't think I'm going to go through all of them today.
The slides are on there and the handouts.
The slides and all the handouts, if anybody wants to see what was there, it's here on board docs. But it started in the auditorium. Mr. Guimar talked for a little bit. We had Veronica Blackham from Idaho State University. We have a really cool, actually I want to highlight this. I know it's taken long, but we don't really have anything else, and this is cool stuff. So one of the things in the slideshow that Veronica was talking about. So we've started piloting what they call math badges. So Veronica and Mrs. Bell started working together with that. So Mr. Guimar talked about the advanced opportunities. Advanced opportunities are just extra money that the state has for kids to take dual credit. He taught us about that, how to do it, and all the different courses you're able to get to, and the different schools that we worked with, concurrent enrollment. That means that we do have some students who attend BYU Idaho in person, but are still students here. And those are all options that they can do. You talked about an associate's degree through advanced opportunities. If you get 62 credits, it's only going to cost you $4,650, and $4,200 of that is covered by the state. So if you have $400 extra, you could almost have enough to get 62 credits while you're in high school. If you wait until after high school, and this is perfect for you guys that are young here, and you want to pay for that out of your pocket, that's going to cost you about $309 a credit, which is almost $20,000. And so that's just one of the things, if you do take dual credit here now, you're able to really, save some money later on. Talked about the different exams that we have, the career technical education, and some of the hands-on things with what we call pathways. And so he said that right now we have a lot of kids that take dual credit courses and get the credits, but we don't have any official workforce training courses yet. And our CTE teachers are all working towards that right now. So we're wanting to try to get this moving in that direction.
So one caveat to that is we have had our CNAs, but they pulled those numbers before the CNA students have taken their capstone test. So we have had a couple of students go through that, and it's just where they're pulling, when they're pulling
Pulling
those
it.
numbers.
So CNA would be our only one that we have. So technically, we do have a couple of students over the years that have done that, but just there's a get hold for the data. So then when Veronica talked up about, and Mrs. Bell were talking about the math options, one of the things that they came up with is, they said, here at West Jefferson, you have the traditional side over here. You start ninth grade with Algebra 1, 10th grade geometry, Algebra 2, pre-calculus, and dual credit calculus. Not everybody takes this path. And so with the math badging, and they call it modern algebra, they have different types of ways of teaching the algebra to the students. And it's more hands-on. They have things that are more applicable to real world situations. And math badging is a pilot program with 3 states where they have a rigorous but student-centered approach to math. And she shared here that right now there's 3 states, Idaho being one of them, that's piloting it. And then in the state of Idaho, there are 10, including West Jefferson. And so we're one of the select few that are trying this, and they shared with us some of the, she's like, the badges aren't like little merit badges, they just call it badges. It's just the way to go through it. But they talked about the students that are in those classes. They have more hands-on ways of thinking it. So instead of just sitting down and memorizing different equations, they have different things. You can see right here, the bales of hay, there's somebody there that's a farmer that's figuring that out. And the kids are telling us right now that this is they're liking this way of thinking through math. And it might not be for everybody.
So this wouldn't be a college, a pre-college.
No,
math
this
that
No.
you would take then.
No, when you look at it here, this would be a high school class. And you wouldn't get the pre-college stuff until you get up into the what they call
You need to be
the
in
DC.
this line to go to college or to.
Well, but if you look here on this one, it can bounce back and forth. You can go from here up to there, up to that one,
Or
and
straight
then
up.
straight up and this. And so the math 1, 2, 3 is math in modern society. That's what I've talked with the board in previous years. And this is kind of where it falls in on the big picture of all of our math stuff. And so, like I said, it was a really cool night last night at the. I want to go back to this one. It was a really cool night. All the CTE teachers, they talked about their pathways. Let's go back into the. Nope. Where did I lose that one at?
What are you looking for?
There it is. Let me see if they have a pathway. This is one of the projects, like that class is project-based. One of the students put together a project talking about distance and speed, and basically just said, if you're really gonna speed, you're gonna endanger yourself, but if you're going 55 instead of 75, you're only gonna show up 2 minutes later. Is it really worth potential of dying or getting a big foot, so they were using math for real world stuff. So, like this is example, this is Miss Orakami's BPA pathway with a digital communications pathway. So it's what a pathway does for our school is it allows the kids to have, when they pass these courses, they actually can get a certificate or a sticker that goes on their diploma that says they have been prepared for these types of industry. And some industries will look at that, some schools will look at that and advance you further. And so as of this second, West Jefferson has one pathway, and it's BPA's digital communication pathway. And we've applied for and been approved for 3 additional ones to come on next year. So that means every single CTE teacher, Mrs. Day, Mr. Hogue, and Mrs. Williams, all will have a pathway for their CTE programs. And so that's one of the things that they shared last night with that. And so kids, our school's small enough and there's enough time, there's probably potentially you could get 2 pathways if you really wanted to, because what you'd have to do is you'd have to take, she said, these courses, this one's required, then one of these, and then like just those required ones right down there. So I think there's 5 classes, and 5.5
credits that they would have to get that pathway.
So that was, like I said, it was a really cool night. They had good food. Anytime Mrs. Scott put something on, like there's gonna be some fabulous treats there. And you can see here, I wish I would have had the names of all the people who donated. I know Ball Brothers donated some potatoes, different,
Meadow,
what's that?
South Co Meadow.
South Co Meadow, Copper Grill. What's that?
Grill.
Copper Grill.
Top Grill.
Real.
RILL.
But isn't real for food?
Nope,
I've always heard it wrong.
yep.
I've never seen it in writing,
Copper Grill,
and it's real good.
RILL.
I've eaten there. This is never-
Yes.
And so
And burlap flowers.
and burlap flowers, and so there were some prizes. I won some potatoes, and I was pumped about that. Yeah, I was won some potatoes, and so they did a really good job. Another fun thing as I'm moving through this superintendent report, the DARE graduation. This is the second year in a row we had Porter Elliott from the Kansas City Chiefs come in to do the, we don't call it DARE graduation anymore. They call it DARE assembly. They basically do the graduation in class. But he is an assistant coach at the Kansas City Chiefs. Andy Reid hired him to be his personal assistant a few years ago, and he's moving up the ranks. And when you call him the left-handed man, yes, that's not a typo. He did have an accident when he was younger, where he lost the use of his right arm. He was a young boy, and he had damage in his arm, so he lost the use of it. And he had the arm up until he was 16 years old, but he was also a very motivated young man and was an accomplished athlete. He played baseball and basketball at his school. And when he was 16, there was something that, like in a game or something, like the bones got broken in the arm, and he was going to the hospital, and he just told his mom, he's like, cut it off. Tell him to cut it off. And so that was a decision he made when he was 16. They just cut off his arm. But he's actually an all-state basketball player. His team won the state championship in baseball and basketball. He averaged, I think, 17 points in basketball during his career. He was talking about, like, the message that he came to the kids is to work hard, like never quit. I should have wrote them all down, but he brought his Super Bowl rings. Let all the kids come get pictures with them. It was really quite motivational. And where he grew up in a town, he said he had 32 kids in his graduating class. And just was very inspirational. He told the story about how he wanted to have his mom buy him some Air Jordans, and she's like, I'm not gonna buy you those shoes until you can tie your shoes. And so he like brought some kids down. He's like, all right, untie your shoes. And he's like, and put one hand behind your back and tie them. And so he showed how he does it. And he brought some kids down to play catch with them. So he had a mitt, and he just talked about how he would catch, flip, drop, grab, throw, all in one motion. And just, it was fun because he shared a lot of fun stories. Shared stories about like when he got hired with the Chiefs. Because he's a BYU graduate. Coach Andy Reid is a BYU graduate. I think that kind of had the connection. And so when he brought him in, he just talked about how like humble. He talked about how Andy Reid is just a humble guy, always wanting to help out. And he tells a story about being invited on one of his first assignments, going to the NFL Combine. And they said, he went to the combine, and then they're like, and his job was to drive Andy Reid around, into the spots. So he drives him to dinner, and Coach Reid goes, "Are you gonna come and eat with us?" And he's like, I was just gonna sit here in the car. And he's like, "No, you need to come and eat with us." And he's like, "I felt so out of place. Here I am, just barely hired on. I'm just, and he's a little self-conscious about having one arm, and he goes in and he's like, he named like 6 or 7 other coaches in the league that were gonna be sitting down at this table together, and here he is, just the new assistant. And then he gets in there and he's like, "I grew up on a ranch, like as a sheep farmer, beef farmer." He's like, "I am a meat and potatoes guy." And he's like, "You guys, if you know anything about steak, unless it's prepared perfectly, you have to cut it." And he's like, so in his mind, he's like, we're going through and it comes around to order to him. And he's like, "I'll have the salmon." And they go through and he's like, Coach Reid leaned over and he's like, "The salmon, the fish?" He's like, "You're really gonna the fish?" And then he came back later, like asked him 2 or 3 times, like, "You really ordered the fish?" And he said that, so the food came out and he's eating the salmon, and Coach Reid's like, "Hey, how's the salmon?" Kind of razzing him a little bit. And then Coach Reid cuts him up some stuff, pushes some of the steak onto his plate, and he's like, "Hey, order the steak, I'll cut it for you." And that was one of the things he's like, that was humbling to him, but also to see the leader that Coach Reid is. He's a humble man, but Porterelli's like, I also learned that I had to be humble. I had to also know on that. But he just shared several stories like that. It was really cool. It was a really cool thing. And, thanks to Deputy Keller, Mike Miller, the Jefferson County Police Department for helping get him to come. I don't know if we'll get him 3 years in a row. Some people are saying, but 2 years in a row for an amazing guy like that. It's like, that story doesn't get old. It's one of those things. So that's 5th and 6th grade. 6th grade is the actual ones that take it, I believe. And then they invited 5th, 6th, and then we also invited 7th and 8th to come just to hear the presentation. We did have Clark County brought down their kids as well, so they were able to come in, and he took his time. He sat and he signed autographs, and like really, really neat guy. So even if you don't, like, one of the things he also talked about is thinking outside the box. And he didn't have very many Taylor Swift stories, but he did have a lot of Travis Kelce stories. And of course, there's a few of our staff members that just have a crush on Travis Kelce, but
I don't know why.
I don't know how either. But he also went into a math class as well. Looks like he went into, is that Mrs. Morton's class or Mrs. Bell's?
No, we found out it's Karina Smith's room.
Oh, great. So we had that wrong then. So we went into Mrs. Smith's class. Here's a really cool thing happened yesterday, you guys. This is a new one. So Mr. Gore has just been awarded a very prestigious honor. He has applied for I don't think Julie put that on there.
Madison.
Help me out there.
The Madison Fellowship.
The Madison Fellowship Scholarship.
Yes.
Has nothing to do with Rexford.
Has nothing to do with like James Madison. So this is a national one. And so there's only one person in Idaho at a time that gets this. And so this is like an amazing thing. So he was awarded the say it one more time, the James Madison Fellowship Scholarship. And it's a $24,000 scholarship to help go towards a master's degree. The master's degree must be centered on Constitution / history. And so one person per state is allowed to do that. So he just received notice yesterday that he received this. He will get to take some summer credit through Georgetown University. I think he's going to go to Gettysburg University back east is what it is. Help me out.
I heard it was in Georgetown. It'll be 1 month during the summer.
Yes. And so, and he does get to sit down with a Supreme Court justice,
Gettysburg College,
Gettysburg
which is
College.
part of Georgetown, and he'll be a Georgetown Fellow, which is a very prestigious.
So you'll see this coming out. We'll have some things on social media that will get going out, but it's exciting. I know he's been applying for this for several years and it's gonna be an amazing week for him. Then some of you were here today for this, our 3rd and 4th grade students, and I do have a typo from both Terrapin and Hamer presented their research projects this morning. The 3rd graders researched people from history and the Wax Museum. So we have a zookeeper on one side and we have Barack Obama on the other. And it was an awesome time in here. I know my son was Michael Jordan. And it got exciting because he had the prop and pretty soon he started having all the kids shoot. And I think the teachers were saying, hey, quit having people shoot, but everybody was lining up to come shoot. So it was fun. I know I saw J.K. Rowling was there today. So it was a lot of fun. Thanks to our teachers. Then a counselor update, local scholarships. I know our school board, we have that on there that we're gonna have our school board scholarship again. If people are asking, the school never ever helps these kids sign up for this. This is a picture from the hallway in the senior hallway by all the senior lockers. And so you can see all of our local scholarships are all right there with the times that they need to be in and how to do that. It's right there. So I guess unless Mr. Guimard is going to your house and filling it out for you and putting it in, we are giving our students as many opportunities. Additionally, this is the link to the scholarships page on our website. So if you go into our website under student resources, this has a list of all the different scholarships for the kids to go to. Mr. Harrelson took some of his students from the guitar class down to the Senior Citizen Center. So Mesa Wood, Berkeley Bershaw, Kyrie Summers, Aubrey Rigby was playing the drums. Did you know that?
She had never played before until the day before.
And she actually did really well. And Presley Falter, they went down and played a few songs down there. Upcoming spring sports, softball, baseball, tracks, all in going. Spring break next week. There will be a Bikers Against Bullies assembly this Thursday at the Panther Den. So if you want to come check that out, that's tomorrow, isn't it? Tomorrow at 1 o'clock. End of the quarter is tomorrow. American Heritage Trip is going also this weekend. 56 people are attending, 36 students, 16 parents, and 4 teachers. So good luck to everybody. That should be a lot of fun. I think it's a great opportunity. I know it's not a school-sponsored event, but it's exciting that our kids get to go. And so we support them in doing that. And then we have the SAT and ACT tests coming up on that. So any questions, comments, anything I missed, you guys? I covered a lot of stuff on this, but I think it goes back, touching on the things that academic meetings that Mrs. Scott's putting on, all the work of the student council. It's not just athletics that we're focused on here. Like we're really trying to stay true to our mission statement, and I'm just excited about all the great things going on in the school. Oh, no.
Great. Discussion items. You mentioned the board scholarship.
Yeah.
I think we've got all that collected. Super. Legislative update.
I just was wondering if you had any questions on that. I know there's been some rumors about House Bill 521. It's still held up in the Senate. Some people are thinking, is the 4-day school week gonna go away? Did you see the high school kids freak out? Like, look at this. So there is a financial bill going through that says they want to give money to schools. But if you take this money, you have to have a calendar that looks like this. Nowhere does it say that a 4-day has to go away, but it does say that there are going to be some requirements that have to take place in it. We don't know what those requirements are. So I've been working closely with our regional superintendents, discussing it with them. Gonna see that, I know the state board has to make that decision. So students that are here, if you guys are hearing that there's rumors that it's going away, our intention is to not have it go away, but we have to wait until this legislation goes through for us to know.
And that falls into 5-4. with our calendar options. we
Yeah.
Can't really.
So
Yeah.
when you have something like this, how do you get it out to people to call their legislators?
You know-
and tell them you don't want them to vote that way, or.
That's a really,
How do parents know how to stop something like that?
if it's something where I feel like I need to reach out publicly, I would put together a PA meeting and discuss it. Or at the very least, a post or an email or something. Right now, because we don't know what it looks like, I don't want to put the cart before the horse and get everybody freaked out. Am I concerned? Maybe, but not to the point of freaking out. Like, I'm concerned because I just don't know what the exact recommendations are gonna be. And once I know what the recommendations are, then I'll know
Because
what.
if you wait till after it's done, then you've got all these mad people that like what's happening right now.
Yeah,
And then you have to deal with it after there's nothing you can do about it.
if those people like the 4-day and feel like, here's the thing, you have two different groups. You have a group that says if it's a 4-day, your students aren't learning. But you also have a lot of evidence that show people on 5-day aren't learning. And what it comes back down to is what's the approach that you're gonna take? And I know some of the things that have helped our kids at least keep academics at the forefront is now that our momentum is getting into the high school, we are doing academic grade checks throughout the year. And yes, that's mostly it's for everybody, but we do have the athletics piece to that as well. But I think for people to do that is they could email, like if you need to email a legislature, you can Google and you just say, who are my representatives in Idaho? And you can send that out to them. But know that I do have connections with the superintendents in this region, and we're doing all we can through like the IASA and things like that. That's a really good question, and if it does get to the point that it's gonna have to change, that's the hard part, is it might be too late in this situation. Because the way that 521 is written is pass this bill, and then the state board will later figure out what it's gonna look like. And that's the part that's concerning to me, just because we don't know. Like, we wanna trust, we're always told, hey, trust people, but that's.
Not in politics.
But in politics, but that's exactly how this bill is written. This is what it is. We tell the state board, you guys will figure out what the minimum requirements are on something that's never existed before. And then if you don't do it, you don't get the money. So that's the part where it's frustrating. But other than that, I don't see anything else that's major with legislation.
Right. And.
Any questions on this calendar, you guys? I don't think anything's changed.
Nothing's changed, no.
No.
We can't do anything until we know more.
Because if we wanted to get, like I said, if we wanted to look at the calendar and see what we have. I know we have the 144 days for the high school. And then 142 for next year. We've always had 144. But we're proposing to start those that Friday and Saturday. If they bump it up to a lot more, we need more days. Like, we could look at a couple of different things. We could look at a work release and a harvest. We could look at going later into June. There's all sorts of things where I don't think my recommendation would be that we tell the state we don't want your money. The money that they have to come is going to be helpful for us and also good for landowners. But that's my initial take on that. But like I said, it's too early to even know. Another one, do we have a full week of spring break? Those are all the different things that you look at.
When you say good for landowners, can you elaborate on that?
So with 521, and again, if anybody's out there, I know we probably had 521 attached on a. This is, do you remember if we had it attached on a couple times?
This one as well.
We're talking about that. Let's attach it. But what it says is it reduces the property tax amount that you have for the bonds and levies that we have in our school district. So right now, I'm just gonna, if we have $3 or $3 per 100,000, or excuse me, it's gonna be $300 per 100,000 that goes to the school district. 521 will pay that down a little bit, so it's tax relief for the landowner. And then they're using other tax sources to help fund schools. That's how it would help them out. So in a way, it's helpful in that regards. It just, if it would have come out just with that, without all the different things, we wouldn't be having this conversation because it would have probably passed 2 months ago. But like I said, we don't know. We don't know what it's gonna look like or should look like. And that's why the calendar options have been on there for since February. So, thank you.
So our next planned meeting is just our April meeting.
Yeah. That's all we have. I don't foresee us needing to have any special meetings unless there's something crazy that happens with any legislation, but
Mr. Williams, what night is senior project presentation night?
you should have asked
That is on.
April 16th.
If the board, if the board is going to come, if you'll let me know so that I know if we have 3 that will be there.
Thank you, Mrs. Tucker. Great. No further business on the agenda, so before we open for a motion to adjourn,
And Chair, so moved.
is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Okay.
Any opposed?
We're adjourned.